What's up, YouTube? So, I was reading this article by Business Insider, and it was about a 64-year-old who had to retire due to a return to office mandate. Basically, my first knee-jerk reaction to this was hearing about a lot of these return to office mandates. And don't get me wrong, I feel you people who were initially hired to be remote. But I feel for those who are in the position to actually get up and drive 30 minutes to work, I feel like, why not? The reason why is because I'm in this job market, and I know a lot of other people who are also. And I would wonder for whatever reason, why would you ever just leave your job if you had to just go 30 minutes down the block, right? So that was my knee-jerk reaction. So again, I didn't want to just prejudge this article. So I went ahead and I read through it, and sure enough, this person, she's a 64-year-old business professional who's been acting as an executive assistant, and she's been doing it for a while as a remote assistant for at least about 7 years, based on the article. So when I read all this, I kind of felt like, okay, so she's one of the outliers. She's definitely one of the outliers, one of the exceptions to the rule, so to speak. But I wish, hopefully, I can gather some other info, but I wish I can gather some other info on other people who just refuse to just come to the office. And I know this was a thing right after COVID, but the fact that it's still a thing, to me, lets me know that people are delusional. There's a very popular YouTuber out there, if I can remember his YouTube title or whatever, I'll post, but he constantly reminds us that, man, this economy sucks. This economy really sucks, man. If you're trying to get a job right now and you think for one instance that they're gonna let you work remotely at this point, then you may be one of the few. But from what I've been hearing and what I've done in my podcast before, this whole idea of remote work and being comfortable working from home, the jobs that do offer it are not paying very, very great. I'll tell you that. And the jobs that do allow it at the big companies and corporations, they're usually for privileged execs and positions such as that. So this person fits into that realm. That's why I say she's one of those. But if you're not one of those, then I don't see why it's such a big deal to die on that hill. Because right now, you don't want to stand on that hill and die. Seriously. Because companies will try you. In fact, this is how they're weeding out people. This is exactly how they're weeding out people. I did a podcast about a long time ago about, managers who just want to have people to boss around. Well, guess what? Guess whose turn is it? That's basically what I wanted to highlight about these return to office mandates and so on. I'm not saying they're right, and I'm not saying that I agree with them. But what I will say that is, you got to understand your position, and you got to understand where you're at. And I'm not going to get up here and stand tall and tell you, oh, yeah, keep fighting the big fight, and eventually you'll get that remote job, and eventually you'll get that exact position. I can't with confidence tell you that. But what I can with confidence tell you is that you should definitely continue to keep going out here and grinding, and be expected to be on site. It's very few times that I apply to remote positions. Usually if I apply to a remote position, it's because it's typically ideal for that. In my industry, it's very normal for that to be the case. In your industry, it might not, but usually when I do that, even though it's very normal, even in that case, usually when I do that, I do it because I fit it so well that it doesn't even matter if I'm on site. You know, like I know the job so well that I'm pretty sure if they hired me, I'm doing my own assessment. I'm pretty sure if they hired me, they would be like, man, this guy is just as good as if he was on site. So that's why I say that. So other than that, I'm typically going to apply to a job that I know I can drive to or at least get to somehow. Just because nowadays that's been the case. People don't have any originality. So think about companies, they're basically people legally, you know. So anytime they see a big corporation or they see the government acting in a certain way, guess what? They're gonna follow suit. If they see layoffs from the tech industry and they see massive efficiency cuts, that's exactly what every single company is gonna emulate, because they have no kind of originality. I'm sorry, that's just the way the world works. But other than that, I would like you guys to definitely comment, subscribe, like, and definitely tell me, what do you think about the return to office mandates? I definitely want to start a conversation on this, because I know a lot of people feel very, very strongly about this because of their situation, whether they have kids, or whether they have other responsibilities, whether they're, you know, taking care of a loved one, or whether they just really want to live their life and wake up and be able to cook breakfast in their own home and be able to sit down at their laptop and work from their own homes. Me personally, I tell you, I had this opportunity, and it's not as glamorous as people think it is. For one, it seems like if you're working remotely, sometimes the company wants to keep even more tabs on what you're doing in between, you know, work time versus, you know, you getting up and going to the restroom versus you getting up and going to get something to drink. Man, I worked for a company, I'm not going to put their name out there, but I worked for a company where literally I got so frustrated that every time I stepped away, not even for like 5 minutes, I mean like for a second to like go to the restroom, I mean by the time I got back to my seat, I was kicked out of whatever virtual session I was supposed to be in to get calls, and in a meeting with 5 managers just like coming at me at the same time telling me, where were you at and what were you doing and this, and I'm like, this is overkill. So that position taught me that not every remote position is as cracked out as it's made to be. You know, sometimes they're keeping more tabs on you when you're remote than when you're in the office. Me personally, I'd rather be in the office. I like being able to get up, get out, see people. You know, it's how you have a normal day. And when you come home, you wind down. That's what I'm used to. Call me old school. That's what I'm used to. You know, hybrid schedule, even better. Now I can knock out errands, you know, whatever, you know, pick up my Amazon orders and, you know, do little stuff that I couldn't take care of while I was at work, but still be working remotely. That to me is kind of like, okay, that's the best of the both worlds. Hybrid working, cool. Working on site, cool. Remotely, I don't know if I like working remotely, because for me, I know I'm gonna do the work, but I need to know that my employer knows that I'm doing the work and doesn't have to second guess that. If I'm working remotely, they can always question that, no matter what the production is, especially with AI and so on. So when they see me in the office doing what I do and they can see the evidence of it, I like that better. But for other people, they don't mind. Me personally, I'm not saying I prefer to be micromanaged. I'm saying that I prefer that You get the full confidence of being able to see me physically and come in the office and sit down at a desk and do what I do. And you not worry about, oh, he's slacking off, or he's getting coffee, or he's answering his phone, or whatever. I don't even want that to be a question with the people that hired me. So I prefer that. But other people have other circumstances. So that's why I can't fully go against anybody who's knocking this. Other than that, please like, comment, and subscribe. This is your boy Rems, TNN. I just wanted to talk about this article because, again, at first it triggered me in a way, and then when I heard the explanation, you guys should read it too. I'll probably link it up. But when I heard it initially, I said, man, these RTO people, man, they're tripping out, man. The economy's bad. The economy is bad. I wouldn't rush into a retirement right now either. I would not. That sounds like a really horrible idea to me. I would much rather just get another job. But again, I don't know this person's full circumstances. I read the article up to the extent that I know why they did what they did. The person had to move from one state to another. The company wasn't responding, wasn't giving them much options. They had been doing this for 7 years. I mean, you can't knock that. A person doing something for 7 years, you turn off the lights like that. That's crazy. But again, please comment, like, and subscribe. This your boy Rems, TNN. Be easy.